Welcome to the Runners World podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
Me, Ben Hobson.
And me, Jane Maguire.
This week we're speaking with one of the rising stars of British distance running, Emile Cairess.
Well, you spoke to him.
That's true, yeah. He didn't want to talk to you. He said he flat out refused. He said, I like that Rick Pearson, but that Ben Hobson character, no.
Yeah, exactly.
No questions from him.
Yeah.
No, we were away. Rick did the good thing and took time out to speak with Emile, and he's on the cover. So it's a big bang. He's on the cover of the magazine, and we got a podcast with him and everything, and he's a right talent. But most importantly, Rick, what you love most about him, runs with a Casio.
Runs with a Casio. He's not really on Strava. His nutrition sort of outlook is, if you're running as much as he is, you just got to eat as much as you can. Yeah. Before you start worrying about the quality of your food, you got to make sure you eat enough. Very, very much back to basics. And he's got some big ambitions for himself in distance running, and he's already the British 10-mile record holder, 45.57 for 10 miles.
Sheesh.
That's insane, isn't it?
That is rapid.
So rapid, isn't it? I was chatting to someone after the London Landmarks half, more on that later, and I was like, I'd love to run under an hour for 10. That's always been like the dream, and I've got close a couple of times, but I've never done it. And then you're like, Emile Cairess, he'd be finished for 15 minutes.
He would have been showered, changed on the way home.
Yeah.
By that point, he'd be fine. Yeah. No, it's a great chat you've had with him, and he's a great, as you said, a great talent.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So really interesting just to sort of hear all about his approach, how stripped back it is, how easygoing he kind of is around that whole being elite thing.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Yeah. Hey, talking about
being elite. Yay! We made it. Great.
Ben, shout out to you, mate. Genuine shout out to you, because you did a great bit of running at London Landmarks half, and
thank you very much.
Very, very close to the 1:30.14.
Yeah. So I've sort of been, the comeback to racing and had a target. We talked about the big half end of last year, and I had zero ambition with it. Just wanted to turn up and see what was capable of doing. And it turns out that you need to do training. So I have been quite focused about a COVID aside and some disruptions. But yesterday was I'm not even that. People won't believe it. I'm not that bothered about the 14 seconds over, because I just wanted to treat the whole race as a pacing exercise and try and absolutely dial in, just sitting there, feeling comfortable and all that. And I did, and it worked out. So just goes to show there's a lot of room there for improvement, I think. So, but I'm already looking at halves to do the rest of the year and get that time quicker, not just under 1:30, not just 90 minutes, but see how much I can do with it. So it was a good race. It felt good at the end, and then I drank too much beer afterwards and a bit of wine, and I got a bit of a headache now, but that's fine.
Well, it's fine. What it's about.
I think that after the race, there are a sort of select group of times in your life where AM drinking is respectable, and probably like hen do and stag do, I think you get away with. An airport
festival.
Did you say an airport festival?
No. I hate people
rules.
in an airport drinking at 7 a.m. Makes me feel sick.
But
festival
after a race is fine, isn't it? I think after a race at 11 a.m. that's all right. That's good.
I actually think we didn't. We were actually more like we didn't find a pub that was open actually. We until 12, so we were kind of.
That's true.
Well, that's when you know it's too early, isn't it?
Yeah, when they're not open yet.
That's a sign to get a coffee and calm down.
Again, Rick, you did great running. Not unsurprisingly so. You are very fast, but you were off the back of not really doing very much. You did very well. So well done.
I think. Thanks. I managed to go under 1:30, which was the only goal. It was. But again, a little bit like you, it made me think. Okay, around 1:27. So I was like, that's off not very consistent training. Like, what can I actually? What can I actually do? I do think I haven't run loads in super shoes before, but I felt like they do make a nice difference over the half. And
definitely.
What did you wear, Rick?
I was in the Asics Metaspeed ones. I think they're made. I mean, I'm not sure how much to read into this, but meant to be made for the 4-foot strike, which I think I kind of am.
You definitely.
I just think you don't deteriorate as quickly in the shoes. That's the biggest thing, and that was. Because I think Ben was in the same boat. It's got to about 7 or 8 miles, and I was like, okay, starting to feel it a little bit. Presumably by mile 10 I'll be like a mess as usual, and it will just be a grim hanging on. And it just didn't really happen until like mile 12, So it's kind
perfect.
of it was all right.
That's good. I was in the Endorphin Elite, Jane, just so you know.
Nice.
Yeah, check us out. Check out us.
Check us out. Jay, what about you? You've got London coming up, so what's going on?
Well, this Landmarks Half was meant to be the dream of us all being reunited.
Yeah.
Because the listeners won't understand that we don't all work in the same office anymore, and I don't see you in real life apart from this. This isn't real. This is virtual. But I got COVID, so didn't run, but went out on the Thames Path and did my own run. I think London's happening. Decided yesterday.
Great.
Just like because yesterday's run went well.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Here we go.
Right.
I think this is the way to train. Be on the fence till 3 weeks before. I'm not stressed. I've not got time.
Yeah,
3
right.
weeks.
Yeah. I mean, there's the whole thing of like getting a place and
obviously I have trained, but I wasn't sure I was going to run because I've had this whole weird like hip injury.
Yeah.
I've not done any. I've done a 16 mile and I've done a 20 mile. Obviously I've done a lot of running, but I've not done any long runs apart from those two. I've done like 8 miles on a Saturday, 8 miles on a Sunday, and we'll see how that all pans out in 3 weeks.
Great. No, I like that.
Great. I like that.
It could be great. It could be like I did a marathon with doing 2 long runs, or it could be I did 2 long runs and
it's not enough.
Didn't finish.
No, you'll finish. Come on.
Let's do a poll. Readers vote.
So look,
as you can see, no pressure on this one. Very chilled. It is what it is.
If you were looking for a mental strength strategy, Ben and I were chatting to this guy called Emile Cairess, and he's written a book about the Barclay, and he said one of the benefits of the Barclay, other than sort of going over there, is like he had this mentality where he was like, look, how am I ever going to do the Barclay if I can't do the dishes at home, or like I can't, or like anything in his life? And I'm thinking, I did a bit of that at the London Landmark. I was like,
I like it.
If I can't maintain just sub 7 minute pace for 3 miles, how am I ever going to do the Barclay? I've got no intention of doing the Barclay, but I think you can really bring it to you. Like you can do this marathon, Jane. How are you going to do the Barclay if you can't do London?
Exactly, and I think I've done the most high mileage plan I've ever done. So I feel like, do you mean a long run's that important? Yeah, probably they are. But I think I know I can do 20 miles now, and I can do 6 more, can't I?
Yes.
Yeah. So it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
Oh, and if it's not fine, what's the worst that happens? I don't finish a race. It's fine.
You'd finish it. You'd be fine.
I could start day drinking at 11. It'll be
you
great.
Could just come off. There's plenty of good pubs en route. You could just stop outside
I'll
one
wait
of them.
till I see you guys. We'll go and have a drink.
Fine.
And then we can all walk to the finish. It'll be fine.
That'll be good.
It'll be fine.
Great.
Marathon training by Jane. Done.
That's chapter 6 of the Joy Plan right there.
Yeah. Give up on times, hopes and dreams. Decide 3 weeks before whether to run or not. So who knows what shoes I'm running in, Rick? I've just decided to do the race.
Exactly. It's all up in the air. Hey, look, do you want to hear some scientific studies?
Yes, please.
Always.
So this is about hopping, right? So this is 5 minutes of daily hopping leads to improvement in running economy in amateur runners. This is really simple. I mean, it builds up from something very, very small, but you could probably just jump in at that where it builds to, which is 15 sets of 10 seconds of hopping, and with a 10-second rest in between.
So 15 seconds of hopping with a 10-second rest.
Is that 15 sets of 10 seconds of hopping?
15 sets of 10 seconds of hopping with 10-second rest. So 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off.
Exactly.
How often am I doing this?
You can do this like 2 or 3 times a week, Jane.
Okay, great. Before London,
before or after a run, it could get in there. I think that probably.
Are we talking on the
skipping
spot?
Is probably same.
Yeah, are we talking on the spot? Are we talking like foot to foot? What?
Good question.
What is classed as a hop?
Here's what the study author said, because it's a good point, and I think it's a little bit controversial. It said when hopping, participants were instructed to start with both feet no wider than hip width apart, and to hop as high as possible with both legs, keeping the knees extended. So it's like.
That's about power.
Jumping, really.
That's called jumping.
No, it is jumping, but that's like an explosive power thing. So that's quite good. I can understand why that's going to improve your.
No, but you're not bending your knees. You're just jumping, right?
Well, it's probably like a little bend, but you're like you're jumping as high as you can, and then minimising the ground contact time. So you're
You're not going deep squat and then launching upwards. I don't think.
No. Calm down, Ben.
Yeah.
Calm down, Ben. Chill out.
God, Ben, jeez. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that one. All right, good. Let's.
So jump around for
10 seconds.
10 minutes.
10
seconds.
No, not 10 minutes.
No.
10 seconds.
Tear your calf. Pull out of the race.
10 seconds of hopping.
10 seconds
10
hopping,
seconds of
jumping.
rest.
Times
15.
So about a minute and a bit. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
I'll let you know.
Throw it in, Jane. Throw it in.
Yeah. Throw everything in at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
See what happens.
What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
Well, that's great. I love that. Thanks, Rick, for a bit of science. I always like a bit of science.
Always here for
just training advice.
life
Just
hacks.
straight. Hey, guys, if anyone's got a race coming up later in the year, start hopping now. Let's know how you get on. Podcast at runnersworld.co.uk. Did hopping change your life? Probably. Let us know, please.
If you've got a twin, one of you do the hopping, one of you don't do the hopping. Keep everything else the same.
I like
And
it.
that
Has to
could
be
be-
a
that-
twin. Has to be a twin. Can't just be two
Yeah.
runners.
Yeah.
Can't just be two
Yeah.
separate runners.
It
Twins.
can be two separate runners. No, but twins would be more like
Funny?
yeah, better pictures, but also like biologically the same. You'd think, right?
True.
This is perfect, Jane. Yeah.
Yeah,
Same,
yeah.
same lungs.
This is
same
incredible
heart.
science from Jane. Same heart. They've got the same. They are literally the same. Internally,
Matching
externally,
hearts.
everything. Yeah, twins.
Twins must have matching hearts. They must do. They must do.
Oh, scientists, get in touch. Podcast at runnersworld.co.uk. Do twins have exactly the same hearts?
They must do. I'm gonna Google it.
You can't Google that stuff. Do twins have the same? Yeah.
Yeah.
Big search, that one. Huge
Yep.
search.
So twins, get in touch.
Let us know if your hearts are the same. Oh, God, I think everyone's
Study.
lost it. Right. Anyway.
Anyway, moving on. Hey, look, should we get our guest of the week? Or
Yes,
what do you reckon?
Yeah,
let's do that.
100%.
Great.
Guest of the week, here in the studio. Guest of the week, sometimes on the phone. Could be an athlete, could be a physio, or a complete unknown.
This week, we're delighted to be joined by one of the rising stars of British distance running, Emile Cairess. Welcome to the Runners World podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let's start at the beginning then, because we understand it was actually your mum who inspired you to run. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so she just would go running every day to keep herself fit. So naturally, just seeing her going out, I wanted to tag along. So I just started doing that. And then I think at first I was sort of holding her back. And then over time, I was able to finish a run with her. And then, and then sort of just carried on from there.
Nice. And is it? I mean, she's like a recreational runner who runs regularly, right? Is that it?
Yeah. But then she was a little bit annoyed at me. On another podcast, I said, that she was strictly recreational. But yeah, she used to do some races and stuff. And
Okay.
yeah, but I was saying in the context, like relative, she's sort of recreational. But yeah, she's done a couple of races in the past.
What sort of age were you then when you were first accompanying your mum on these runs?
I was quite young, probably about 4, I'd say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was probably a struggle for me to like make it around the block, but my mum was happy to accommodate for me and just sort of let her run go out of the window so I could tag along.
Amazing. I think like a lot of kids, I was probably like this as well. That I understand that you were quite into football play growing up, and it was almost like you had to make a bit of decision in your teens about maybe not playing football because it was a injury risk. Is that right?
Yeah. It was quite a big thing for me to quit football because it was a big passion and I really loved doing it. But yeah, just the level I was reaching at running and then the level I was out of football and how much I enjoyed running as well, it didn't really make sense for me to carry on.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like football it's so easy to get injured, isn't it? Particularly sort of like lower leg stuff, which is like probably puts the kibosh on any running.
Yeah, no, for sure. Some of the tackles, and because it was Sunday league, it wasn't really like high standards. So,
Okay, yeah.
Some of the tackles and stuff were quite dangerous, and you see people, breaking the legs and stuff. So,
yeah. Well, you obviously made the right decision. From what I understand, you also went to like a school that had real sporting pedigrees. Was it Bradford Grammar where you went?
Yeah, so there's been some top athletes there in the past, like the Brownlees, Richard Nureka, I think Adrian Morehouse, a swimmer. So yeah, there's been some real top sporting guys and women as well come from the school.
Was that kind of inspiring for you to feel like you were walking through the same halls as like the Brownlees and Nurika and all those sort of people?
A little bit, although the cross country club and stuff wasn't the same as when those guys were attending the school. Because a couple of key figures like Tony Kingham had left. So yeah, it wasn't quite the same. A nice feeling, I guess, to know that they've gone through the same path, but it wasn't. I didn't take like too much inspiration from.
Was it always a plan for you from like a relatively young age to be an international athlete? Is it something that you were shooting towards, or has your trajectory surprised you in some ways?
A little bit of both. Like, I wouldn't say when I was young, like I thought I'd definitely be an international athlete, but then I did aspire to it, and it was something I'd really like to do, and I worked hard towards it, and I have got there. But yeah, I can't say when I was 14 that was what I was telling everyone I was going to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You've also worked under some amazing coaches. I know obviously you worked under Alan Story, who has trained lots of top UK athletes, but probably most notably Mo Farah. What's it been like learning under him and under your new coach as well?
Is invaluable, to be honest, having people like Alan and Renato to guide you, because they've guided so many athletes in the past to a level that I was aspiring to reach and still aspiring to get to. So, like, they have the blueprint of how to get there. So you can't put enough value on it. And without those two, I wouldn't be in the position I am now.
Because you spent a few years training yourself, didn't you? And I'm quite interested in that, because that feels like quite a brave move. But in terms of, do you feel like you were getting anything wrong when you were doing that, and have you changed anything that you feel like has been really beneficial?
I don't think I wasn't getting too much wrong, because I was making good progress. Obviously, I was making little mistakes, but I think having a coach, with the blueprint, just like expedites the process of getting there. Like, it's less trial and error and more, this is what you have to do to. If you do X, then you'll get Y, rather than just hoping it'll work and trialing it. But it was something I really enjoyed, and I think it is beneficial in the way that you learn the purpose of training and why you're doing stuff, and I think that does help even when you're being coached by someone else. If they set you a session, you just understand a little bit more, like how to do it effectively. So I think it was a really useful learning process for me.
On the kind of sessions front, when you're looking at, say, I know you've got your eyes on a few things this year, but one of them is London Marathon. What would you say is your favourite session, or maybe the session that you rate highest, that you kind of feel like if you get that right, you know you're kind of in the right kind of shape?
I think like some sort of tempo running, or like some people call it threshold or running. I think they're the sessions that are the most beneficial for events above 5K. So 5K to marathon, I think if you have a good threshold, then you can sort of get into the specific training afterwards. But if that level is in a good place, then you're really setting yourself up for a good race, I think.
Yeah. What would some of your like threshold or tempo sessions look like in a marathon build up?
So I've only been training for marathon for 7 weeks now, so
okay.
I'm not too experienced. But I think something like 3x5K, 4x5K.
Okay.
And stuff with you can also do stuff with like instead of taking a rest, do like moderate sections in between.
Yeah.
It's really, it's not. I don't think the specifics of the session are too important. It's more getting the right amount of time or volume at a specific intensity. So yeah, so if you like between 45 minutes to an hour of threshold in a session is sort of
Yeah.
standard for me.
Okay. Yeah. As you said, you've probably until now it's been other distances where you've put your best performances in. The one that probably really caught attention is when you equalled Mo Farah's 10K record. Can you tell us a little bit about how that felt? Because I'm guessing maybe growing up he would have been someone who you would have looked up to, like all UK runners, and think, wow, that's kind of where I want to be as well.
Yeah, I do think with Mo Farah, like when I was younger and he was doing 2012 Olympics and stuff, I was at such a different level that it feels like he's almost doing a different sport. And I think most young runners maybe they sort of take inspiration from maybe people like a year above them or 2 years above them. It's more relatable. So it's like, yeah, even though it is cool to see him on telly, it was more like somebody that might be winning the Yorkshire cross country that I was sort of aspiring to be like. But yeah, when equaling his record, that was really a cool achievement for me. Like, to think that I was the fastest like runner from Britain that's done a 10K on the road. It just sounds quite cool.
It's amazing, yeah.
Something that, yeah, if I'd told myself when I was younger, I'd have been like shocked. Yeah. But I feel like it was sort of Mud. I think he had kindly left the record there for the taking.
Okay.
Then obviously it's like almost a minute slower than his time on the track. So it's not quite the same level, but I think just the way I was progressing and ran only like 9 seconds slower on the track the summer before for 10,000, it was definitely like one of my goals for that period of time. So yeah, it was really, really nice to do.
So that's the ambition then, maybe to have all the British road records eventually.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'd like to do. I think they're all achievable. Whether I do achieve them is a completely different story. But I think as a runner, you always have to set yourself goals, and then I think that motivates you to try your best to reach them. Without goals, I think it's difficult to achieve big things. Yeah, I don't think anyone just stumbles upon stuff like that.
I really like it when athletes like are happy to like articulate what they want. I think it's really, it's what people want to hear as well. I think as people who are fans of the sport. Can we talk about ambitions for London then? I mean, as you say, like it's going to be like the first marathon. What have you thought about what success would constitute? What the goals are? Is it more about just trying to get it right on the day and see what happens?
Yeah, I think my coach wants me to go fairly conservatively and take it easy in the first half. I think the first one, I think he just wants me to have a positive experience and afterwards like view the marathon in a positive way and not be sort of fearful for it in the future, which might happen if I go off really quick and sort of struggle the second half. So I think definitely, I guess if I can run a negative split, then I'll be really happy. And I'm not looking for any particular time, like too fast or any position. Just a good positive experience. And then I think later in the year, I think maybe Valencia or something like that, I'll try to run a really fast time and attack it.
Well, it'll be really interesting to see what you can do at both races. Because am I right in thinking that Phil Sessam's someone that you train with, and obviously he's done very well at London over the last couple of years?
Yeah, me and Phil have been training a lot together. Not so much this year. Well, to be fair, we've been training a bit together the last few weeks, but this year, like 2022 included. But yeah, over there since 2018-19, we've done a lot of training together. So club mates, and he lives like just down the road from me. So yeah, it's nice to see him doing so well at the marathon, I feel like I encouraged him a little bit to make the move there. So,
Oh, that's cool. Oh, so it's just up the road. So maybe like some pretty competitive Strava segments near where you guys live.
Well, I'm not big into my Strava. Phil is, so Phil's
I
got a
wanted to
few
ask you about this,
probably-
Emile, because on the Runners World shoot. So anyone listening to this, there's a feature in the magazine just about to come out, or would have maybe just come out by the time this is out. And there's a picture of you with a Casio, and I was like, I'm a Casio wearer. Please say that you wear a Casio. That's your number one watch. But I wasn't sure if that's true. Can you enlighten me?
Yeah. I do wear that particular Casio is actually my girlfriend's Casio. So, yeah, she
Oh, you
bought
got
me
a nice orange one on there. Okay,
yeah, different one. There's actually mine. She bought me because she was fed up with me wearing hers. But yeah, I just think it takes just wearing a stopwatch takes sort of the pressure off like
Yeah,
easy
I agree.
runs. I think a lot of people get too tied up into the pace of an easy run or a steady run when really all that matters is it's easy or steady. So like I have my routes and I know how far they are. So I do know my pace in the end, but whilst I'm running, I've not really any idea of the pace. So I think it's just good for you mentally just to be a bit disengaged sometimes rather than feeling stressed about things that don't need to be stressed about.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's nice. I like the orange Casio as well. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Love that
Yeah,
one.
well, she'll be happy
I've
that
got the,
she chose it.
Mine's
for
the
me.
yellow one there. Let's see.
Oh,
Pink is
yeah,
alright as well.
very nice.
Have you got because obviously you're a great cross country runner as well, and I'd imagine I haven't done a lot of running in Yorkshire myself, but I know people rave about what a beautiful county it is to run in. Do you have a favourite place to run? If you could, like not thinking about certain places you like the track or whatever, but like, have you got somewhere you'd like? I absolutely love running in this environment.
I do love running in the woods and on the canal, like around like Leeds Liverpool Canal, like around the Rodley section, and then like Meanwood Valley Trail and Echo Reservoir where the shoot was the other day, and then my mum lives in Bradford, and there's some like lovely runs by her, like on Baildon Moor and on the canal in Saltaire. I really do love running and like being in those places and just enjoying nature and stuff. I don't think that's like a feeling that you can really beat. Is just having a nice run in the woods or just in nature really. Anyway, as long as it's in nice scenery.
This is the Runner's World podcast.
Out of interest, how much of your running is on like tarmac and how much is it on softer surfaces?
Pretty much all of it is off road. I'd say like obviously if I have a couple of sessions a week, like they'll be on the track or maybe they have to be on the road. But other than that, I try and always run on soft surfaces. One, I think is a little bit better for you in terms of injuries and stuff. I think just reduces the force going through your legs, but also it's just more enjoyable to be running in a nice place. Like I've never found it that enjoyable to run on a busy road or even on country lanes. I don't know. It doesn't have the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel just as nice. So
I'm with
it's
you.
not
I
something do.
think it's one way that like sort of recreational runners and elites really differ. I think because if I was to ask that question to someone who's running 3 or 4 times a week, I bet you they'd say it's almost all on the road. Maybe I do one thing off road, but whenever I talk to an elite athlete, it's always like, certainly no more than 50% of their running is on road. And I really think actually people listening could learn a little bit from people like you's example, where it's actually like a large proportion off road, even if it's just like the path next to a in a park or like it's I just think that it seems like a nicer way to run, and I think maybe more people who are interested in road running could still bring a bit more of that to their training. I think
For sure. I think people would benefit from it, like I said, physically and mentally. I think maybe when people get into running, maybe they're doing park run or a road 10k, so they just presume like you always see them, don't you, just running up and down the street and I think people would enjoy the running a lot more if they just sought out a route that was in nature. and they just have a more pleasant experience. And I think it'd make that part of the day more enjoyable. And like, yeah, I think people do running. At the end of the day, I think the main reason why people run is to enjoy it and for health reasons. I think running in nature just, sort of fits along with them really well.
Yeah, agree. You've also done some training in Kenya, which I think is always like fascinating because obviously it's not something that most runners get a chance to do. What did you learn by doing that? What were some of the benefits? Are you going back? Have you been recently?
Yeah, so I went in January. I've been 3 times, so I've been in January like each year for the past 3 years. I think there's like a multitude of benefits. Like one, the weather's really bad in Yorkshire, like that time of year.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're just avoiding like the ice maybe and windy and cold. Yes, and then you're at altitude, which is beneficial for performance. And then the climate's perfect; it's not too hot. And then I think just being immersed in the training environment that produces like some of the best runners in the world is really inspiring and humbling as well. Like when you see how they live and how they achieve like such success, is through such like a minimalistic lifestyle. I think in Britain, so many people get caught up in like the minutiae of training and needing all the technology and I don't know, specific food, and I don't know, they overcomplicate everything. And in Kenya, life is just really simple. And I think, yeah, a lot of British people could learn a lot from the Kenyan people's attitude, and they just enjoy running and work really hard and do the basics like sleeping and recovering really well, and then that leads to good performances.
Yeah, I think I really agree. I think running is ultimately a very simple sport that's made complicated by, some misinformation and kind of sweating the stuff that doesn't actually, in the big picture, doesn't matter as much as the basics. On like when it comes to things like nutrition and food, like do you have a very strict diet? Are you into food, into cooking, or is it just something? Is it more like a kind of I just need to eat a lot because I'm doing loads of running? It's like a fuel thing.
Yeah, I think it's more I need to eat as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing so much training, you need to eat a lot to fuel it, and if it's quite simple. If you don't eat enough, then you're not going to have enough energy to train properly. I think that's another thing. A lot of people get caught up into weight and body fat and stuff like that. When really, if you're training properly, I think you need just try and eat as much as you can, and it doesn't really matter what you eat either. I think you can eat junk food and stuff, but as long as you eat fruit and veg and stuff as well, then I think that's the main thing. Once you've ticked the box of eating enough, then maybe you can look at the specifics of what you are eating. But I think, the main thing to focus on is eating enough. And I'm not big into my cooking, so I do order quite a lot of takeaways and stuff.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
I think that's like a refreshingly sort of simple attitude, isn't it? It's like, get enough calories in, and then obviously you want them to be of high quality, but without maybe completely stressing about like macros and like, all that sort of stuff.
Because I think some people are getting into running and want to get to a higher level. They think maybe they'll have salad for tea or dinner down south. They'd have a salad and think they're doing the right thing, when really like they're just a plate of fish and chips or something from the chippy would actually be better for them if they've run like 20 miles that day. And then obviously it's better if maybe they're having rice and chicken and broccoli, but I think
I mean, it's an important message. I think you're right. It doesn't get communicated enough. I think some people feel like they're doing the right thing by sort of starving themselves with this thing, but it's actually not. That's kind of very unhealthy. What about strength and conditioning? I'm never quite sure what, like in Kenya, what the strength and conditioning. I hear sort of different reports of like they don't do any or like they do loads. But what's your take on it?
I personally, I think it's really important for someone like me. I think it does depend on the individual. I think some people have maybe a naturally stronger, and I think in running, your performance is sort of determined by like your energetic system and your biomechanical function. So it's like my coach says it, like you need to have. There's no point like having a Ferrari engine, but like tractor tires or whatever.
Yeah,
So like, I think the S&C is giving yourself like Ferrari tires, or that's a sort of metaphor. Like if you can, run far. If your legs are powerful and can produce a lot of force, then naturally it's easier to run faster. I think that comes more naturally to some people than others. So I think if you are, if you tend to feel like your breathing's okay, but you just couldn't run any faster, then gym's probably really beneficial for you. And then also injury prevention as well. But I tend to be quite lucky with that, like regardless if I do gym or not. But I think more for me is just being able to run quickly is the biggest benefit I get from it.
Yeah. Are you doing what I'd call a kind of classic strength and conditioning? So like lifting relatively heavy weights, concentrating on core and legs principally, or is it? Could you give us any like a little bit of a sense of what would a strength and conditioning like workout look like for you?
So there isn't. I don't really do any core. It's mainly like I was listening to a Richard Blagrove podcast a couple of years ago, and he said he's one of like the foremost people in S&C, and he said if you're doing like I think it's a step up exercise, like a hinge exercise, a push exercise, then I think like you're pretty much 90% of the way there. So I think if you're doing like a squat, a Romanian deadlift, and a step up with like pretty heavy weights, like maybe 3 times 8 or something, for the sets and reps, like it might not be the perfect routine, but you're getting most of the benefits. And then I think after that you can tailor it, maybe doing some carb stuff or plyometrics and stuff like that. But yeah, for me it's quite I do keep it quite simple with that. And then I do like one circuit session a week where I'm doing more like squat jumps and like jumping lunges and high knees, and just for muscular endurance. I found that's been quite beneficial for me, especially in cross country where your legs do tend to start getting tired.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Can we talk about shoes? Everyone who listens to this podcast loves shoes. Everyone is into shoes, aren't they? They want to talk about it. What are your go-to shoes for racing? Let's say like the 10 miler and also the marathon. Maybe they're the same shoe. And also, do you run in that same shoe for most of your training miles, or do you go for a different shoe?
So I definitely advise everyone to have different shoes for racing and training. Well, racing and easy running. Maybe the racing shoes are what you do sessions in, but definitely don't race in the shoes that you do easy runs in. So I do easy runs in like Boston, Adidas Boston 10s at the moment. I really like those shoes. Like they're quite got a big stack height, and they actually have carbon rods in them. But I don't know, they just feel really nice for easy runs. I think because they've got a big stack height, you don't tend to feel like little stones and stuff in your feet when you're in the forest and stuff. So I think that's like a benefit of them that maybe wasn't intended when they were making them, because they are supposed to be for like sort of steady runs and tempo runs and stuff, but I do like them for easy runs. And then for most of the races I've done so far on the road is I use the Takumi Sen. Number 8. Yeah. I think the number 9 has just come out, and I haven't actually tried them yet, so I might be wearing those for the 10 mile. But I think they're probably
not that. Yeah, they're probably not that well known by people. I mean, they're a stripped down Adidas shoe, aren't they? Not a super shoe from memory.
Yeah, they are a super shoe.
They are now. Okay, right.
Yeah. So I think the 7 was like the last iteration that
Oh, okay, yeah.
wasn't a super shoe. Yeah, they were really minimal. I did like running in those. But yeah, the Sen 8 is like stripped down version of the Adios Pro, which is like
Okay,
Adidas
yeah.
probably like would you say flagship model? I don't know if that's the right
Yeah, I think that's
word.
true, isn't it? It's like it's on the feet of a lot of top marathoners, isn't it? And it's kind of got
Yeah.
a big stack height, like 38 or something stack height or something.
Yeah. Whereas the Takumi, I think the Takumi is 33, and I think the Pro is like 39. So the Takumi still got a decent stack height. But it's just I feel like it's that bit more responsive for me, and because I'm fairly skinny and don't weigh that much, I feel like I do like a shoe that's a little bit lighter.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's just more in line with me. So yeah, I love that. I love the Takumi, and I'm not sure.
I want to try them.
Race
Yeah,
like.
I didn't. I just actually kind of went under the radar for me those because I tried the Adios Pro and liked it, but again, I'd probably go for something that's a little bit closer to the ground if it was an option. But I wasn't sure that was there. So
Yeah,
nice.
I think everyone should give them a go because they feel like a traditional racer, what everyone's like used to in the past, like what they would feel like comfortable with. But it's a super shoe, so you get the best of both worlds, I think.
Do you have a trail shoe that you use for like or the kind of foresty trails you're doing? Because road shoes actually can survive on quite a few like off-road, routes, I think. But have you got a trail shoe?
No, I don't actually have a trail shoe. I just run in the Boston 10s in the trails and stuff. And I don't really have any problems like doing that. I'm not. If I was going on the fells and stuff, really serious routes, then I'd probably wear some trail shoes. But for what I'm doing, I don't feel like I need them.
You're not doing like hands on knees hiking and like doing the Bob Graham, are you? So they kind of you're probably all right.
No.
Yeah. Final question, Emile. So when you're not running, like what's what are you into? Is it football for you, or how do you relax?
I do like watching the football. I'm a big Arsenal fan.
Doing well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a good season this year. So I like doing that. I like playing video games. I do that quite a lot. Watching TV, spending time with my girlfriend, spending time with my family. Most of my friends they live in London or a different country or up north, like even in Newcastle. So
okay.
So most of the time just with my girlfriend's family or my family, and just having a nice time. Yeah,
nice,
and just relaxing.
Well, thanks so much for your time, for coming on the Run As Well podcast. Yeah, we'll definitely be watching your progress with great interest, and thanks very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers.
So that brings us to the end of this week's Run As Well podcast. Thanks very much to our special guest, Emile Cairess, and to you, of course, for listening. If you're wondering, Jane's found an answer to the question of, do twins have the same hearts?
The answer's no, it's not. Technically, we all have the same heart.
I mean, you're basing that on what I said, Jane, which is also not science.
Do twins have the same fingerprints? Will be the answer in next week's outro.
You can subscribe to 3 issues of Run As Well for just £5. Head to runaswell.com/UK/podcast offer to get this exclusive listener offer.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you again next week. Please do subscribe for more running and twin
medical facts.
Bye.
Bye.